right, welcome to the group chat. This week we got a lot to unpack. Jacqueline, thanks again for joining. How was your weekend?
So far so good. I'm on a self-care weekend.
Okay, okay, good, good, good. Well, my weekend's been good. You know, NBA Finals is set. I mean, we I think we both picked this. Spurs and Knicks. You know, it's set that game seven, OKC, San Antonio was a hell of a game. But the Spurs, you know, led by Wimby and that defense, they just came out on a mission, on a
Yeah.
tearing game seven. It was back and forth. They jumped out early, got back and forth, but they just pulled away. They just had too much. OKC, a little short, missing a couple players, which definitely made a difference. You could tell Shea at the end was kind of worn down, but Wimby and those boys, they were on a mission.
Yeah. And a young team too. There's a lot of talk about that. Just, showing how they're going to show up and kind
Yeah.
of what the NBA is going to look like going forward. I think that's real cool too.
No, I think you know you see players that care. I mean Wimby, you know, in tears and energy and fight. We ain't seen it in a long time from players who are actually like giving their all. You know, dedicating their off season to wanting. You know, kind of having that Kobe mentality, that Jordan mentality that we ain't seen in a while. That just, I mean, they're gonna do anything it takes out there to get that win, get that dog. So I'm looking forward. I mean, the Knicks, Spurs, the Knicks. Now, they've had a lot of rest. They swept their last two opponents, sitting back, been able to, you know, kind of be prepared for either the Spurs or OKC. That's gonna be this should be a good series, an interesting series. I think I always thought that the Knicks, you know, with kind of fared better against the Spurs versus OKC because of the
Mhm.
matchups, but it's the way they're playing. I mean, this should be a hell of a series. And the energy in New York. When the Knicks are winning, the Knicks in the front, the energy just, you know, is everywhere now. But the energy from New York just kind of comes, all through any special sports fan. So I'm excited for this finals to start.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is when I jump back into basketball. There's a lot of games.
Yeah, there's a lot of games.
So this is when I jump back in. So I'm excited to see this matchup that don't forget that I did predict. Even though I went all the way back to Tony Parker, I did predict that the Knicks they were gonna pull it off.
Yeah, you said the
And
Spurs are going to be able to pull it
The
off.
Spurs were gonna pull it off.
Yeah, yeah. So game one Wednesday. So be prepared game one Wednesday, but it should be a good finals. I'm looking forward to it. And while we're on sports, I want to talk about the Sanders family made news against Shador Sanders. He actually broke a record with his jersey sales. It looked like his jersey sales generated estimated 250 million in total revenue, making his rookie jersey one of the highest selling in NFL history.
Wow.
And with that, his cut is a record-breaking 17.7 million from in-group
Wow.
licensing. So, and I think the previous record was Tom Brady's 9.5. So, I mean, he got close to doubling that, which is crazy. Which is crazy. And it just
Wow.
goes to show that as much as they say this, say that, the fans, he has a fan base. The fans love him.
Yeah. You know what? And this really is a true testament to, like as a sports parent, all that we put into it and put into your kids. And granted, his dad is Deion Sanders, so there's a lot of legacy and history there, but you put into these kids and they really put in the time, and it's just like one of those things of really showing it pay off. I mean, to double Tom Brady is Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? So that just speaks volumes. Just what you put in, you really, really will get it back.
And sometimes I know, like you said, his dad's Deion Sanders. I mean, of course, it's going to put eyes on you, but sometimes you gotta. It makes it even harder to deliver and a lot to live up to. And
Hmm.
he's carved his own path and is making his own way unapologetically. I mean,
Hmm.
I think for all the criticism and everything he has to endure, it just continues to show the character he has and his family has. And but I'm gonna put it back on him. He's a grown man, and the way he's handling things, the way you don't hear no trouble, you don't hear any of these things, and
Hmm.
go out and continue to get better. But it just goes to show that he has a fan base, and his fan base support him, and they're rocking those jerseys.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Now, while we're in football, we're gonna make a pivot and go to the Giants, the New York Giants. They had a press conference the other day, and it's all in lieu of the quarterback, Jackson Dart, when he brought out, you know, Donald Trump at a rally in New York, and was kind of gleeful, and my favorite president, and this and that. It kind of shocked some people, not many, because if you kind of watch things, it's not really shocking. I think a lot of people get confused on people liking our culture for
Mm,
supporting who we are and supporting the cause. Those are two different things.
right.
You can like the culture and things that come with the culture and what you can receive by trying to be embraced in the culture, but you're not, supporting the people.
Right.
And I know it's in this time where it's like you should be able to support who you want. You should be able to support who you want, but you should be able to, take the fallout and stuff that comes with it, because this is different times, from past administrations and being able to voice your support. But if you show you stand with someone who shows what they're about and tells you what they're about and
Mhm.
does it and this and that, if you can still support it, then that's kind of says a whole lot about you, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think, there's always this talk about people embracing our culture and they don't really like us, but I go one further and I say they don't really support the culture. Because if we do it, there's things that, let's say braids, for instance, right? If I'm a black woman and I go to work with braids, they could be unprofessional, but someone else can come braids and they're like, look at this new trend. So I don't think that they necessarily support our culture. I think they just want to take from us and don't want us to have any culture. I think they want to claim it for their own. And yeah, you can vote for whoever you want to, and you can support who you want. But when you're supporting someone who goes against most people, right? Like you're with someone that just supports like a one track white males. Quite frankly, um, it's not a good look. And what does that say for your fans and the teammates? You have a lot of black teammates. That's a I don't know. It's a choice. It's a choice for
Yeah.
sure.
And one of his teammates, did voice their opinion with a tweet. Abdul Carter, you know, he tweeted, which sparked the conversation, because without that, it kind of would have passed over. People will remember when the games, but if you go out and start throwing touchdowns, this and that, but no, this sparked the conversation. What are we doing? And usually it's like, okay, no, that should be handled in the locker room, this and that, and no, if you can publicly come out and endorse when people are fighting hard for voting rights, for the
Mhm.
rights, for getting their loved ones out of detention centers, and all these and all the polarizing, things that happen daily. If you can go out and support this with glee, you should take, people's rebuttal to that. And I think, in public, not in private. And I love the fact that they did have the conversation. Abdul Carter came and said they had their conversation, but then at the press conference, wasn't no backing down from Abdul Carter. I
Mhm.
love what he said in the press conference. He talked about it and he went straight into it. And then he also, at the end, when they like, do you want an apology from Jackson Dart? He's like, I don't want to apologize. I want him to stand on what he believes. If that's what he believes, he stands on it. And then I'm gonna stand. I should also be able to stand on what I believe. So if he can voice these, I should be able to voice what I want to voice, and let's keep it that way. But in these lines in this locker room, we got a common goal. We're trying to win a championship and trying to be our best. So it's not going to affect what we're doing in here. But out here, if that's what he believes and this is what I believe, we're opposites there. But in his locker room, and that's how sometimes that's what it has to be, because you're not going to always like the people you work with. You're not going to always agree with the people you work with. But if one can voice, then the other one should be able to voice. Because I think if it was the other way around, if Abdul Carter jumped out something, oh, the masses would be, oh, but no, they went to defend Dart. But the way it was handled, you know, I'm glad the way he handled went up there, articulate, and come up there, rah, 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 rah. went in there, made his points, and what can they say?
Yeah, no, that's true. You brought up a good point. I was gonna say that's got to be really hard when you're working in this capacity with somebody, like a team, and you know how they feel, and that's part of that is like you have to feel that way about me. But you're right, you're not always gonna like the people that you work with. So I guess it's that same vein that you come to do the common goal, right? Because it's work, and then you just know, I know how you move, and I don't really have to associate with you after that.
Right. And I love how Jameson Winston came out. He's the elder statesman right now in that locker room. But what he said and the passion and everything came. Like I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. And he went back in the history of what has happened in Alabama and how things are down south, and he came from that point of view on, of, is people still living from when those kids were burned up, blown up in the church, where their body parts was out everywhere. It's you know, people still living from other instances throughout history, and for someone to want to bring back that type of history, trying to erase all the progress that we made and take us back to that times, and for you know your star quarterback of one of the biggest markets, the biggest market in the country, one of the biggest markets in the world, if not the biggest, to go out and put him on his platform and rah him up. Yeah, I mean, he has to learn about this history. I think you have to. He continue to put that, and then again, he's gonna be who he wants to be. He can still go off, support who he wants to, but we know who you are, and I think we can be just as strong as in who we support and who we don't want to support. And that's just kind of my take on that.
Yeah.
I think another thing too to talk about now that we're on this topic is the NAACP, and you know them. It didn't start off as asking a boycott, but I mean I've seen from their posts and everything else a boycott of the SEC conference. Well, the schools that are trying to redistrict and take away voting rights and other rights of Black people. Um, it's interesting. I mean, we're asking, we're asking kids basically to do something, and I know where it's coming from, and it's easier for someone in an NFL to speak out on it. But essentially, if we're asking kids to go to these different programs or go to a different school. My take on that is I understand it, and I think they do have the power. And I think right now, I think you can voice it more than just leave, because in some of these cases, this is these kids' way out. You have to go to these institutions to hopefully better yourself and live a lifelong dream now where you can take care of your family and take care of your community and do different things by, getting to the National Football League or getting to the NBA. I think in that sense, I think it's tough to tell a kid, okay, don't go to Alabama, don't go to LSU when that's a clear pathway to get to their ultimate dream and get to being able to take care of their family and take care of generations to come, and also even get to college and part of NIL and the collective, get families out of rough situations and certain things like that. So if it was a clear path to some of these other schools that they can do that, they have the infrastructure, and because everybody can't go to Michigan, everybody can go to Ohio State from those teams. It's not enough. Michigan and Ohio State has a lot of players. So everybody can't just shift and go to those schools. So I think, maybe them making a stance, or maybe them being able to have a platform to talk about it versus just a straight up boycott. What's your thoughts on that?
I think I see where you're coming from, but I think I would challenge that if you're a player and you're good enough that you have these schools that are looking for you, I feel like there's other schools as well that can get you that same exposure. And I know that, the NIL, I know that's only specific schools, right? It's just D1 schools. where they can, make those extra funds, right, to change your life before you get to the NFL, or if you can. But I feel like if you're good enough to get the eyes on you from these bigger schools, that there's going to be another school in its place, so you could still have that same effect, right? You could change your life, you could change your family's life, and you could, change your legacy in a couple of different ways, right? Like you can make it to the NFL, you can make it to the NBA, and you can and put us, put a stand to something that's going on that affects you and will affect people after you.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I look in some cases when the kids, going to college or going to play. A lot of times, I mean, it's a coach they're going to play under, and it's not always the head coach that people don't understand, especially in football. It's a lot of times a position coach, assistant coach. It may be a black man. There may be a man they can relate to. There may be someone that they can have the conversation with. That can be a father figure, an uncle figure, something like that that we don't necessarily know. So I think some of those have to be, also set in these other programs. And then they may also have the facilities and the staff to prepare you for your ultimate dream. I think because the whole purpose of, you know, integrating schools and doing certain things was to get to a better school, to do certain things. So I think now, I mean, we got to pull them from certain things. I think it's a way. It's tricky because, like I said, I understand, and if it was that simple, I would be all for it. Yes, don't go there, don't go to
Yeah.
none of these. But it's not a roadmap to okay, now go here, go there, because you're talking, maybe I don't know 70 play. I don't know how many players you're talking to leave this program, that program to go where. It's, Ohio State don't have that many scholarship stuff.
Mhm.
Michigan's not going to have that many left. There's some of these other schools in the we can also look, some of these places in the Midwest and others, they might not be rolling things back, but best believe they're trying. So I think it's just it's tricky, but I think they can voice. I mean, there was a player from Mississippi State a few years back who said he can't represent the state anymore with that flag, with that Confederate
Mhm.
flag, and it changed. I think voicing certain things more so right now and letting their opinion known, let them know, let the fan base and the state and all that know how this affects them. I think you can have more of an impact on that right now than straight boycotting. You know, um, we have to lay infrastructure and lay a pathway for them to go to some of these other schools to still reach their ultimate dream, where they can, go and become successful, make money, and then help their community, with resources and things like that. I think, in my opinion, I just think that's how the pathway versus a straight just boycott.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. It's nuanced, right? It's not a end all be all. Like let's just boycott everything. That's just not realistic.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully we can, we'll see some players, step up soon. They don't have as much freedom in college, as they do in the NFL. But, well, I mean, now with the NIL and the way they can transfer and the way they do have a lot more, freedom than they did when I played, because I committed to Tennessee coming out of high school. Just some
Hmm.
situations. Coach ended up leaving, which changed a few things for me. So, would have been in that Southeastern Conference. So, yeah, it is tough to know you're going out there and playing, and especially like at LSU, an announcer is pushing to remove the voting rights of, and some of these guys aren't from those areas, but those who are from, they're trying to remove the voting rights of you, your family, and
Yeah.
your representative. So it is tough, but I think start off by making your voice heard. We see how that can spark the conversation, like Abdul Carter. If we can come out and do that. And I think these kids, the more we talk, they do have more power now than previously, especially with the way you can transfer, way NIL control certain things. So I think that may be the way versus a straight up boycott. And maybe we may see a few make the decision not to go to one of those schools and they voice the reason why. Maybe that may spark it. But I think it has to kind of go like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like you said, we've pushed for the integration of schools, and we want to be put in these places, but history is showing us, and I will just use my own, the 17 to 19-year-old kid demographic. I have friends that they sent their kids to these private schools or, sent them to this PWIs and they haven't had good experiences all around. And then now you have this, the voting is going against you and who you are. So I think, it's got to be a conversation. I think that's what would really push these conversations forward and for them to really see, hey, we matter, or, what we voted for matters and where we playing, it matters. Like if you don't care about me, how can I come here and feel supported?
Right, right.
I'm just a player.
Yeah.
Just, get on
I
the
think
field and
we're gonna
play.
bring some people on. I got some guys who played in these conferences. Some others is gonna come on with us, in the next coming days or next episode, and really have further discussions. I want to hear their thoughts on this. Some who made it out of those conferences made it to the league. What their thoughts are right now. Some are from those areas, so be interesting. We'll do that. But now, kind of on topic. I want to talk, here in LA right now. This race for mayor. We have incumbent Karen Bass, and who's making a lot of steam. And I still can't quite get it, but I do get it because people, continuously show who they are. We just don't want to accept it. But Spencer Pratt, it's interesting. To me, it's interesting some of the support that he's getting. What's your thoughts on that?
I will say I have a lot of colleagues, unfortunately, they seem like they're rooting for him. They're going to his rallies, they're going to places that he's speaking, and they're pumping him up. Um, it's very surprising to me to see people that I looked at as educated, at least in this business space, right? Uh, and they're really for this. Someone that has no background, no political experience. I don't think he's ever really had a job, quite frankly. And he's someone that hasn't been able to manage his own life. Um, has been to rehab several times and wants to talk about the homeless people. They're just on drugs and they just need to be there's somewhere to put them. Well, they can't afford it, so where is there to put them, right? Like, yeah, there's housing all in LA. That's a whole different conversation. There's a lot of housing here, but it's not affordable, it's not accessible. So I am very surprised to see so many educated people in the business space that are really rooting for him. And my only takeaway is they don't want to vote for Karen Bass because she is a black woman. That is a huge fear of many. And I don't know why, because we fix everything. Okay, we make everything better. um,
Mhm.
and, yeah, Karen Bass has a lot of challenges ahead of her, but I don't think people realize how government works, especially in Los Angeles, especially. She doesn't get to call all the shots. She can't just come in, unlike our president, and just come do stuff that's not legal, right? Yeah, I just find it. I don't even want to say fascinating. I don't know what to call it. I really can't believe it. People that are educated, at least in the business space. I want to keep saying that because maybe they don't have any common sense, but it's crazy to me. It's crazy.
I think, and here's my thing. I think they know exactly what they're doing from their business space. They want someone to come in and cut certain regulations. They have to go through
Hmm.
certain things. But but then realize he's not going to be able to do that. But I think because we're in LA and we don't feel exactly what they may feel down south and other areas. It don't mean it's not people trying to change that. It don't mean it's not people here that want that. They don't want the blend of people. Don't want everything we have. They want exactly what's down south, but they don't want to leave California. They don't want the luxuries of living in LA, but they
Hmm.
want some of the same lifestyle that they have down south as far as politics and certain things. So it's a lot in there. It's a lot of people in there. And I think when they feel they find that right person to jump behind, and this is LA's Trump,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. He's going by the same playbook, yelling, screaming, mad. I'm just mad.
Hmm.
I'm just mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad.
Hmm.
And I can change it in 3 days. I can do this. I can do that. But never a plan on how you're going to do it. Never what you're gonna do. Well, I'm gonna go on with the people behind me and just show they're mad. They've been mad that it's not gonna change anything.
Hmm.
Like it's city councils you have to go through. It's planner. It's different things you're gonna have to go through to get anything approved before it gets voted on. Like all those different things. So just storming in, man. No, it's someone with a megaphone that they get behind that they hope that they can come in and just dismantle a few things that's going to help them and make this less liberal progressive just by a little bit. If they can fracture it here a little bit,
Hmm.
that's what they want. And
Yeah.
it's common when you see the ones who are supporting him. I mean, those same ones that supported Trump. Like it ain't nothing different. They may have not been vocal for Trump,
Mm.
but most likely they probably voted for Trump. But they
Yeah.
get to be more vocal with him because okay, he's one of us from out here, and
Yeah.
he's coming from a different. He lost his house. He's did this and he's did that. Where it's been proven over and over that it wasn't it's nothing Mayor Bass could have done to prevent it. That you could have
Yeah.
had damn near all the fire trucks from all the West Coast, and it would not have prevented or stopped what has happened.
Yeah.
And I think him just being able to harp on that, and then the homeless and the drug, like you said, you was on it. I think you moved back to your parents' house after you blew your money. I think your wife might have been on a substance abuse. So it's certain things like it's just the Trump playbook. I can basically tell you everything I'm saying is basically what I've done and this and that.
Right.
So if I talk about drugs, yeah, I was on it. If I talk about this, but I can put it on you and take it off of me. And he's I won't say he's doing a good job, but I'm just saying those people want that. Like he's not saying anything different. He's not a guy you want to rally. All he does is just he talks fast, talks loud, talks mean, but no facts.
Hmm.
But those who want to support it, we're going to support it regardless. He just was able to rise up and be that, okay, he's a perfect one for us. He lost his home.
Hmm.
We can use that, and now we can push and put money behind and get what we want. But the one thing I'll say about Mayor Bass is, and her team is their messaging sucks,
Mm.
in
Hmm.
my opinion. I went and I found myself, I think I kind of be in the know of knowing certain things or at least being able to find it. But like, I went to it was a fundraiser for her months back. I learned so much that I didn't know just from that little intimate fundraiser. I'm like, why isn't this being told to the people?
Hmm.
Because we can't keep saying that so much is getting done, but the people can't see it and can't feel it. That messaging has to stop. We know things take time. The educated people know things take time. We know you can get something, you can fight for it. It may be your third year in your term before it gets, and maybe 3, 4 years before it takes effect. But you have
Hmm.
to message it. You can't say that it's getting better. You can't say that things are when you can go outside and see a homeless under your freeway. They may be gone one day, but then they're back. Or you can see them here. You can see that. You have to talk about to me talk about the hurdles that it takes to get through what you're fighting every day, but what it takes to get. But don't say it's getting better. It's getting done when people can't see it. I think you have to match it. One of the things I learned when I went is what you have to go through to get things done in LA, how much
Hmm.
red tape you have to go through, how much stuff has been put in place from decades ago that you have to continue to unravel to get certain things done.
Yeah.
And the same thing that he will face when he get in there, but the thing is, he's not going to care about trying to do anything. He's just
Right.
going to loud and do one thing and blow it up, and then blame everything on Mayor Bass if
Right.
he somehow is elected. It's going to be the whole blame it on Biden, blame it on Obama.
Right.
So I think in this last push has to get out more of that messaging. Has to like people don't assume that people understand or can feel it or can see it or can understand politics or understand what you have to go through. No, that megaphone has to be just as loud and it has to be more with you know what it takes to get these things done. Why certain things aren't. Why this is going to take so long to get that. This and that. And then hit him on. He's not going to be able to let the people know he can't. It's not no 3 days. You can't get the homeless off the street in 3 days. You can't.
No.
And why you can't do that and why that hasn't been done. Like I have to
Right.
start doing those things. I'm not hearing that.
Yeah, yeah, it's unfortunate. I think that the one plus side to all of this is I don't know if people realize how Los Angeles works. A lot of people that are supporting him, they are not even going to vote for him.
Right.
They live in Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. you know, anybody Pasadena, San Gabriel Valley, like they're not going to vote in the Los Angeles. So I'm hoping that the people that are actually in Los Angeles, they have some sense
Right.
and won't vote in someone like that. I think that like, you're right. He's got a lot of mouthpieces and people thinking, oh, if we just get somebody that doesn't have any, brains, I want to say, and then he can make these changes for us. Because a lot of times it just comes down to money, right? In my industry, the colleagues that I have, they just want to save a few dollars, and they think, oh, I can save on this taxes, and I'm not going to see the homeless people. But here's the thing, the stuff that you guys want him to cut is why stuff is not affordable. It's like, if you have these developers and people can raise their rent so high and then they don't want to raise the minimum wage, like life is not affordable. Like that's not the mayor. It's just
Right.
collectively the things that you guys have been voting for, the things you guys don't want, it's not going to progress. Like no matter what, no matter who we have come in, there's so many things have to happen to make things better, and that's just not the way that people want to see it because they're only thinking about self. They're not thinking about the collective. They're just thinking about themselves, their family, and that's why they can't afford anything. That's why gas
Right.
is $6. That's why that's why everything is so expensive. Like I went to the grocery store on Thursday evening after work. That is like prime time. It's usually crowded, and it's my neighborhood grocery store. And he told me, he said nobody has any money. They have no money on their food cards. He was like, it's been like this. Like that's sad. That's
Right.
sad, and that's just a broader issue that they're not seeing because they're only thinking about themselves because they make six figures and they feel like they're going to save some money, and who cares about the rest of the people? But that's why we're in this mess. Is you're if you're that type of person, you're not thinking about other people, no matter how it reflects to you, right? Like that would probably save me too, right? I'm in that weird place of middle class, like, LA poor almost, right? You make good money, but it's still not enough. But I still would want there to be services for people. I would still want people to get EBT. I can't get it, but I want people that need it to be able to get help.
Yeah, what people
Um,
don't realize is when we get those cut, it end up it's going to be other ways it's going to affect, and it's still going to affect you in some way or another. So it's like it's not yeah, it's not that simple.
it makes me
But
so mad.
the points you're making are very valid, and I think that's why Mayor Bass team get the message out.
Hmm.
Get into the city and get the message out. Like it's no way that we should still be it should be questions like what where he can just come out and bliss all of this. And like I said, it's going to be a demographic that's going to accept anything he's saying, no matter what she says or what she shows proof. They're not going to hear it. It's the same
Hmm.
playbook. So don't worry
Hmm.
about changing those minds. Get those ones who aren't excited, who won't sit out and show them. Look at the world. Look at what you're in now. These
Hmm.
are effects of not getting out and voting. And don't just assume that they're going to vote for. Let's get out and let's actually, you know, give them the substance and be out there and go and give them the facts and but also use your megaphone to push back and do certain things. People want to see some fight too. They want to know, you just okay, you win, or if you don't, you don't. Okay, you put up. No, they want to see some fight. Like
Hmm.
get back, talk back. You're the mayor right now. You are the mayor. Like come on, use that megaphone and push back. And
Hmm.
that's just my thought on what's out there. But again, I want to keep going. We're going to continue these. We're going to start bringing some people on to really kind of dig into this more. So yeah, yeah, good conversation today. Yeah, we can go on and on. But
Yes.
again, yeah, thanks for joining as we get ready to wrap this up. And okay, game one coming up. Let's shift real quick before we get off here so we can put this on
Okay,
record. Who
so I
you got in
cannot be
game
so
one?
angry. Yeah, so I could not be so angry. Uh, I'm going. I'm going Knicks.
Knicks. Okay,
I'm going Knicks. I
it's a
got
tough.
family ties New York. I don't want my family coming after me.
I think it's in San Antonio. Knicks been going. San
Oh,
Antonio playing so good. I'm gonna go
oh,
Spurs in game one.
okay.
All right, but we called it here, so we'll see you next time.